In the sleepy town where dreams often remain just that, Maya Clarke's life as a waitress takes an unexpected turn when she accidentally spills coffee on a mysterious stranger in an expensive suit. What begins as an embarrassing mishap slowly blossoms into something neither of them expected, proving that sometimes the most beautiful relationships start with the messiest accidents. Before we begin this story, comment below where you're watching from. The morning sun streamed through the windows of the Sunshine Cafe as Maya Clarke tied her apron around her waist. She'd been working here for 5 years now, and at 26, she sometimes wondered if she'd ever break free from the routine. "Morning, Doris," Maya called to the older woman manning the grill. "Busy day ahead?" "Honey, when is it not?" Doris laughed, flipping a pancake with practiced ease. "The morning rush is about to hit." Maya nodded, checking her appearance in the reflection of the coffee pot. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her uniform was clean and pressed. She didn't have much, but she took pride in what she did have. "Order up," Doris called, sliding 2 plates of eggs and toast onto the counter. Maya grabbed them and headed to table 4, where the Henderson couple sat every Thursday morning like clockwork. "Here you go, folks, just how you like it." "Thank you, dear." Mrs. Henderson smiled. "Any progress on that flower shop dream of yours?" Maya's cheeks flushed. She'd mentioned it once, months ago, and Mrs. Henderson never forgot. "Still saving up, almost halfway there." "You'll get there," Mr. Henderson nodded, unfolding his newspaper. "Good things come to those who wait." Maya hoped so. 5 years of double shifts and careful saving had built her a modest nest egg, but not nearly enough to rent a storefront and buy inventory. Still, she kept at it, because dreams were all she had some days. The morning progressed as it always did. Regulars, filing in for their usual orders, Maya remembering each one without writing them down. She'd just loaded up a tray with 4 coffees for the table of truck drivers when the bell above the door jingled. She didn't look up as she balanced the tray and pushed through the kitchen doors. Her mind was on not spilling a drop. These men tipped well, and every dollar counted toward her dream. As she stepped back into the dining area, someone moved directly into her path. The collision was instant. Coffee splashed everywhere. Hot liquid soaked through clothing. The tray clattered to the floor. Maya stood frozen in horror as she realized she'd just doused a complete stranger in 4 cups of steaming coffee. "Oh my God!" She grabbed napkins from the nearest dispenser. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. I'm such an idiot." She finally looked up at the victim of her clumsiness and found herself staring into the most intense blue eyes she'd ever seen. The man was tall, with dark hair and a jawline that could cut glass, and he was wearing what had to be the most expensive suit she'd ever seen up close, now completely ruined with coffee stains. But the man wasn't yelling. He wasn't even frowning. He just stared at her with a stunned expression. "You're not an idiot," he said, his voice deep and smooth. "You're the most beautiful accident of my life." Maya blinked, unsure if she'd heard him correctly. Was he flirting with her after she'd just destroyed his clothes? I'll pay for the dry cleaning," she stammered, still dabbing uselessly at his coffee-soaked shirt. "Don't worry about it," he said, taking the napkins from her trembling hands. His fingers brushed against hers, and she felt a strange jolt. Maya. "What happened?" Doris bustled over, eyes wide at the sight of the mess. "It was my fault," the man said before Maya could respond. "I wasn't looking where I was going." Maya stared at him in disbelief. Why was he taking the blame? "Well, accidents happen," Doris said, already turning to get the mop. "Maya, why don't you help the gentleman clean up? We've got some club soda in the back." Maya nodded and gestured for the man to follow her. In the back hallway near the bathrooms, she found the bottle of club soda they kept for just such emergencies. "I really am sorry," she said, wetting a clean cloth. "Your suit looks expensive." "It's just a suit," he said, shrugging. "I have others." The casual way he dismissed what had to be at least $1,000 worth of damage told Maya more about him than any introduction could have. "I'm Beckett," he said, offering his hand. "Beckett, sure." "Maya Clarke," she replied, shaking his hand briefly before returning to her futile cleaning efforts. "Do you live around here? I haven't seen you in the cafe before." "Just passing through," he said. Business meeting in town. But I'm glad I stopped in. Maya glanced up, catching the warm look in his eyes. Was he actually glad she'd ruined his clothes? Let me at least buy you a replacement coffee, she offered. I'd like that, Beckett said. But only if you take your break and join me. Maya hesitated. Customers didn't usually ask her to sit with them. But Doris was already waving her on from behind the counter, mouthing "Go!" with an exaggerated wink. I guess I could take 15 minutes, Maya conceded. She brought 2 fresh coffees to a corner booth and slid in across from Beckett. Up close, she noticed the details. The expensive watch on his wrist, the perfect haircut, the manicured nails. Everything about him screamed money and sophistication. So, Maya Clark, he said, stirring sugar into his coffee. Tell me about yourself. Not much to tell, she shrugged. I've worked here since I was 21. It pays the bills. Is that all you want, to pay the bills? The question caught her off guard. Customers usually didn't ask personal questions. They wanted their food, maybe some small talk about the weather, and that was it. No, she admitted. I'm saving up to open my own flower shop someday. Flowers? His eyebrows raised with interest. Why flowers? Maya smiled, unable to hide her passion. They make people happy. They mark the important moments in life. Births, weddings, even funerals. They bring beauty into everyday spaces. She pointed to the small vase of daisies on their table. See how those brighten up the whole booth? I want to create that feeling for people. Beckett looked at the flowers, then back at her. You brighten up more than the flowers do. Maya felt her cheeks warm. You're quite the charmer, aren't you? Is that how you talk your way out of coffee stains? He laughed, and the sound was rich and genuine. Actually, I'm known for being rather blunt. Ask anyone who works for me. And what kind of work do you do, Beckett Shaw? She asked. A brief shadow crossed his face. Agriculture. Boring stuff, really. I'd much rather hear about you. So Maya talked. She told him about growing up in this small town, about her parents who had moved to Florida after retirement, about her tiny apartment above the hardware store. She didn't mention her ex who had told her she wasn't enough before leaving for the big city. Some wounds were still too fresh. Beckett listened with genuine interest, asking questions and laughing at her stories about cafe regulars. When her break ended, she was surprised to find she was disappointed. I have to get back to work, she said, standing reluctantly. Of course, Beckett nodded. Thank you for the coffee and the company. Least I could do after ruining your suit. She smiled. Maya expected that to be the end of it. A strange, pleasant interlude in her routine day. But Beckett Shaw came back the next morning, and the day after that, and every day for a week. He always sat in the same booth, ordered the same black coffee, and waited until she could take her break to talk with her. He never revealed much about himself despite her questions, always turning the conversation back to her. He asked about her dreams, her favorite flowers, her childhood. No one had shown such interest in her thoughts in years, maybe ever. Why? Do you keep coming back? She finally asked him on the 7th day. There's better coffee in the city. I don't come for the coffee, he said simply. 2 weeks into their strange friendship, Maya was arranging fresh flowers in the cafe vases, a task Doris let her do because she was so good at it, when Beckett arrived for his usual morning visit. Those look beautiful, he said, coming to stand beside her. You have a real talent. Thanks, she smiled, adjusting a carnation. My mom taught me. She always said a few flowers make any room more welcoming. She was right, Beckett agreed, watching her hands work with the stems. You're the most genuine person I've ever met, Maya. The compliment made her pause. You must not know many people then. I know plenty, he said quietly. That's why I can tell the difference. She was about to respond when a sleek black car pulled up outside the cafe. The driver, wearing a suit and cap, stepped out and looked around expectantly. Beckett sighed. I have to go, business meeting. Maya nodded, but something felt off. Who had business meetings in a small town like theirs? And why would someone with a private driver spend 2 weeks having coffee in a small-town cafe? Her suspicions grew when Doris rushed over after Beckett left. Do you know who that was? She hissed, clutching Maya's arm. Beckett Shaw, Maya shrugged. He's been coming in for 2 weeks, Doris. Girl, that's Beckett Shaw, the CEO of National Harvest. His face was just on the cover of Business Weekly. His company is worth billions. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. That can't be right, but a quick search on her phone during her break confirmed it. There he was, her coffee companion, in a professional photo, looking serious in the boardroom. The article described him as agricultural royalty, a third-generation farmer who had transformed his family's operation into a national empire of sustainable farming, and he'd let her ramble on about her $15,000 savings for a flower shop like... It was a fortune. She felt foolish, used somehow. Why hadn't he told her who he was? Was this all some kind of game to him, slumming it with the small-town waitress for entertainment? The next morning she was ready when he arrived. She marched straight to his booth and placed his coffee down with more force than necessary. "You lied to me," she said without preamble. Beckett looked up, confused. "I've never lied to you, Maya. You didn't tell me who you really are. All this time letting me go on about my pathetic savings account when you probably spend more on lunch than I make in a month." Understanding dawned on his face. "You found out. Why the charade, Beckett? Or should I call you Mr. Shaw? Was this amusing for you?" "Maya, please sit down," he said softly. Something in his tone made her comply, though she remained stiff and ready to leave. "I didn't tell you because for the first time in years, someone saw me," he explained. "Not my name, not my money, just me." He reached across the table but stopped short of touching her hand. "Do you know how rare that is in my life?" Maya wanted to stay angry, but the earnestness in his eyes was wearing her down. "You should have told me. Would you have treated me the same if you'd known?" She opened her mouth to say yes, then closed it. Would she have shared so freely with a billionaire CEO? Probably not. "That's what I thought," he said gently. "I didn't mean to deceive you. I just wanted to hold on to being just Beckett for a little while longer." Maya struggled with conflicting emotions. His explanation made sense, but it didn't erase the fact that they came from completely different worlds. "I should get back to work," she said, standing up. "Maya," Beckett called as she walked away. "Nothing's changed. I'm still the same person who's been having coffee with you for 2 weeks." But everything had changed, and Maya wasn't sure what to do about it. That night, a delivery arrived at her apartment, a lush arrangement of wildflowers in a simple glass vase. The card read, "For the one who saves flowers." No name. But she knew who sent them. The flowers continued, appearing every other day with different messages. "For the woman who remembers everyone's favorite order. For the one who brightens the whole room. For the one who made my heart spill over too." Despite her reservations, Maya found herself softening. Beckett continued to visit the cafe, and gradually they fell back into their easy conversations. He began sharing more about himself, about the pressure of running a company, about his passion for sustainable farming, about feeling alone despite being surrounded by people. 3 weeks after the reveal of his identity, Beckett arrived with an invitation. "My foundation is hosting a gala next Saturday for our new sustainable farming initiative," he said. "I'd like you to be there." Maya hesitated. "I don't belong in that world, Beckett." "You belong wherever you want to be," he countered. "Besides, I have an offer for you." He smiled at her confused expression. "I want you to do the flowers for the event, as the official florist." Maya's heart raced. "But I don't have a shop. I don't even have business cards." "Everyone starts somewhere," he said. "Consider this your first professional job. I'll pay whatever rate you set." The opportunity was too good to pass up. It could be the beginning of everything she'd dreamed about. "Okay," she agreed. "I'll do it." As Beckett left, smiling wider than she'd ever seen, Maya felt a mix of excitement and fear. Her dreams were suddenly within reach, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into a world that would never truly accept her. And somewhere across town, a woman was making a phone call, her voice cold with determination. "He's found someone new," she said into the receiver. "Some waitress from that cafe he keeps visiting. Find out everything about her." On the other end of the line, a man chuckled. "Don't worry, Beckett Shaw's little romance won't last long. Not once we put our plan into motion." The woman smiled, twisting the diamond ring on her finger. "Make sure it doesn't. I've waited too long to let some small-town nobody get in my way." The week leading up to the gala, was the busiest of Maya's life. She'd never handled an event of this size before, and the pressure was overwhelming. But Beckett had given her a generous budget and complete creative freedom. "I trust you," he'd said simply when she asked for guidance. "Make it beautiful, like you." Maya spent her days off planning arrangements, ordering flowers from wholesalers, and borrowing supplies from the local florist who was thrilled to hear about her opportunity. She worked double shifts at the cafe to keep her income steady, then stayed up late at night sketching designs. "You look exhausted, honey," Doris commented as Maya yawned through her morning shift. "Is billionaire boy working you too hard?" "It's not him," Maya said, refilling the coffee pot. "It's me. I want everything to be perfect." Doris patted her hand. "Don't burn yourself out trying to impress his fancy friends. If he's worth anything, he likes you just as you are." Maya wanted to believe that. Beckett certainly acted like he did, stopping by the cafe daily to check on her progress and bringing her lunch when she forgot to eat. He never pressured her or questioned her choices for the flowers. His faith in her abilities made her determined not to let him down. The day before the gala, Beckett surprised her by showing up at her apartment with dinner from the nicest restaurant in town. "You need to eat something real," he insisted, setting up containers of food on her tiny kitchen table, which was covered in flower sketches and supply lists. "And take a break." Maya was touched by his thoughtfulness. She'd never had a man care about her well-being this way. "Thank you," she said, sitting down across from him. "For everything. This opportunity means so much to me." "You earned it," Beckett said. "I wouldn't have asked if I didn't think you were the best person for the job." As they ate, Maya noticed how at ease Beckett seemed in her small apartment. He didn't look out of place among her second-hand furniture and modest decorations. He asked questions about the photos on her wall, laughed at her stories about quirky neighbors, and helped her clear space on the couch to sit comfortably after dinner. "Are you nervous about tomorrow?" he asked, sitting closer to her than necessary. "Terrified," Maya admitted. "These people are used to professional florists from big cities. What if they think my work is amateur?" "They won't," Beckett assured her. He reached out and took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "But even if some snob makes a comment, who cares? Their opinion doesn't define your talent." Maya looked down at their joined hands. "It's easy for you to say that. You've always belonged in that world. Have I?" Beckett's voice took on a somber tone. "Sometimes I feel like an imposter too. My grandfather started as a farmer with one field. My father expanded to 10 farms. I turned it into a corporation with offices in 3 countries. Each step took us further from where we began." Maya studied his face, seeing the vulnerability he usually kept hidden. "Do you ever miss it?" "Just being a farmer? Every day," he confessed. "The boardroom meetings, the investors, the constant travel, none of it compares to walking through a field at sunrise and feeling the soil between your fingers." In that moment, Maya saw Beckett clearly, not as the wealthy CEO, but as a man, caught between worlds just like she felt. "Maybe that's why we understand each other," she said softly. Beckett's eyes met hers, intense and searching. "Maybe it is." The air between them charged with unspoken feelings. He leaned in slightly and Maya felt her heart racing. Was he going to kiss her? A car horn outside broke the moment. Beckett checked his watch and sighed. "I should go." "You need rest before tomorrow, and I have last-minute details to handle." He stood reluctantly. "My driver will pick you up at noon. The flowers are being delivered at 10 a.m. "I'll be ready," Maya promised, walking him to the door. At the threshold, Beckett paused. "Maya, after tomorrow, we should talk about what happens next." "Next?" she echoed. "With us," he clarified, reaching out to brush a strand of hair from her face. "Because I want there to be an us." Before she could respond, he leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on her cheek. "Get some sleep, tomorrow's going to be amazing." After he left, Maya touched the spot where his lips had been, her mind spinning with possibilities she'd never dared to imagine before. The morning of the gala arrived with perfect weather and a flurry of deliveries. Maya worked tirelessly, transforming the hotel ballroom with arrangements that showcased sustainable local flowers. She created centerpieces featuring native blooms, wrapped the columns with vines and wildflowers, and designed a stunning backdrop for the stage using dried grasses and wheat stalks, a nod to Beckett's agricultural roots. When she finally stepped back to survey her work, Maya felt a surge of pride. The room looked more beautiful than she'd imagined, elegant but with a natural, earthy quality that perfectly represented Beckett's company values. "It's spectacular," said a voice behind her. Maya turned to find Beckett standing in the doorway, looking at her creation with awe. He was already dressed for the evening, in a perfectly tailored tuxedo that made Maya suddenly conscious of her jeans and t-shirt, smudged with green from the stems. "Thank you," she said, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "I hope your guests like it." "They will," Beckett said, crossing the room to stand beside her. He reached for her hand. "But more importantly, I love it. You've captured exactly what I wanted people to feel tonight." Maya squeezed his hand. "I'm glad." "You should go get ready," Beckett said. "The guests will arrive in 3 hours." Maya nodded. "I just need to finish the stage arrangement and then I'll head out. Do you need a ride back to your apartment?" "No, I brought my car. I'll be back before the event starts." Beckett seemed reluctant to leave. "I'll see you soon then." He leaned down as if to kiss her, hesitated, then placed a quick kiss on her forehead before hurrying out. Maya watched him go, a small smile playing on her lips. 3 hours later, Maya barely recognized herself in the mirror. She'd splurged on a simple but elegant midnight blue dress that skimmed her curves and made her eyes look brighter. Her hair was pinned up in a loose updo with a few tendrils framing her face. It wasn't the most expensive outfit at the gala, but she felt beautiful, and that was enough. When she arrived back at the hotel, the event was already in full swing. Wealthy guests in designer clothes mingled in the ballroom, champagne glasses in hand. Maya slipped in quietly, immediately checking her flower arrangements to make sure everything was still perfect. "They're holding up beautifully," she whispered, to herself, adjusting a bloom that had shifted slightly in a centerpiece. "Talking to the flowers?" a smooth voice asked. Maya turned to find Beckett watching her with an amused expression. He looked even more handsome than before, relaxed and confident in his element. "They're good listeners," she replied with a smile. Beckett offered his arm. "May I give you a tour of your own handiwork? Everyone is raving about the flowers." Maya accepted his arm, feeling a flutter of pride as he led her through the crowd. Several guests stopped them to compliment the arrangements, and Beckett introduced her as Maya Clark, the talented florist who created tonight's beautiful displays. The way he said her name, with such pride and warmth, made her feel like she belonged at his side. For an hour, Maya found herself enjoying the gala more than she'd expected. Beckett stayed close, introducing her to people who might need a florist for future events and making sure her champagne glass was never empty. When he was pulled away for a quick conversation with a group of investors, Maya took the opportunity to check on the stage arrangement one last time before Beckett's speech. As she approached the back of the ballroom, she overheard two women talking near the bar, their voices carrying just enough for her to catch snippets of conversation. That waitress from the cafe, another charity case. Maya slowed her steps, suddenly alert. "He's charming her, like he did with the last." One woman said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Small-town girls never last long. Vanessa won't be happy when she finds out he's moved on so quickly," the other replied. "Please, it's just his pattern. Find some simple girl, shower her with attention, then move on when he gets bored. Remember, that teacher from last year?" Maya felt her stomach drop. She quickly changed direction, no longer wanting to be seen. She found a quiet corner behind a large arrangement and tried to steady her breathing. Had she been foolish to think someone like Beckett could genuinely care for her? Was she just the latest in a string of ordinary women he entertained himself with? "Maya," Beckett's voice cut through her thoughts. He approached with a concerned expression. "I've been looking everywhere for you. Are you okay?" Maya forced a smile. "Just checking the flowers." "Well, come back to the party. I want you with me when I make my speech." Maya nodded and followed him back into the crowd, but her mind was spinning with doubts. As they walked, a stunning woman in a red dress caught Beckett's arm. "Beckett, darling," she purred. "It's been ages." Beckett stiffened visibly. "Vanessa, I didn't know you'd be here tonight." "Your brother invited me," she replied, her eyes flicking dismissively over Maya before returning to Beckett. "We have so much to catch up on." "Actually, I need to prepare for my speech," Beckett said firmly. "If you'll excuse us." He guided Maya away, his hand pressed protectively against her lower back. "Who was that?" Maya asked, though she suspected she already knew. "Nobody important," Beckett replied, but the tension in his jaw told a different story. Before Maya could press further, an announcement called Beckett to the stage. He squeezed her hand. "Wait for me? We'll talk after my speech." Maya nodded, but as soon as he walked away, she made a decision. She slipped back to the flower arrangement at the side of the stage, her fingers working quickly to remove a single bloom, a perfect white rose, from the display. Beneath it, she tucked a note she scribbled on a cocktail napkin. "Maybe I was an accident, but I won't be your mistake." With trembling hands, she placed the rose where Beckett would see it when he returned from the stage. Then she made her way to the exit, her eyes blurring with tears she refused to shed in public. On stage, Beckett was welcoming the crowd and thanking them for supporting the Foundation's sustainable farming initiative. His easy confidence and genuine passion made everyone pay attention. "Agriculture isn't just my business, it's my heritage," he was saying. "My grandfather taught me that we don't own the land, we're merely its caretakers for future generations." As he spoke, the lights in the ballroom dimmed slightly, drawing all eyes to the stage. Vanessa moved purposefully toward the steps at the side, a determined expression on her face. In the back of the room, Maya paused at the door, looking back last time at the man who had brought such unexpected joy into her life. She watched as Beckett's former flame approached the stage, her red dress like a warning signal in the dimmed lighting. "What we do today affects what grows tomorrow," Beckett concluded his speech. "And I believe in planting seeds of change." The audience applauded enthusiastically, and in that moment, Vanessa stepped onto the stage, microphone in hand. Beckett's expression shifted from confusion to alarm. Maya couldn't bear to see what would happen next. She slipped out the door, leaving behind the beautiful flowers, the glamorous party, and the man she had begun to fall for despite all her better judgment. Outside in the cool night air, Maya took a deep breath and called for a ride. As she waited, she looked up at the stars and wondered if dreams sometimes cost more than money, if perhaps they cost your heart. Inside the ballroom, Beckett finished his speech to thunderous applause. As he stepped away from the podium, he froze at the sight of Vanessa approaching with a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, her voice silky smooth, "I have an important announcement to make about our charming host, Beckett Shaw." The room fell silent as Beckett's face hardened. He reached for the microphone, but Vanessa stepped away. "Beckett and I have some unfinished business," she continued, "and a secret that's been kept far too long." From the side entrance, a tall man in an expensive suit entered, walking directly toward Beckett with a satisfied smile. "Hello, brother," the man said, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "I believe it's time we change the company's direction, don't you?" Beckett's eyes darted between his brother and Vanessa, realization dawning on his face. "Alexander, what have you done?" In that moment, Beckett spotted the white rose and note where Maya had been standing. He picked it up, reading her words with growing dread. His eyes scanned the room desperately, but she was nowhere to be found. As the drama unfolded on stage, Maya's cab pulled away from the hotel, carrying her back to the safety and simplicity of her small-town life, away from the glamour, wealth, and heartbreak of Beckett Shaw's world. But neither of them could know that their stories were far from over, and that sometimes the most beautiful blooms grow from the most unexpected accidents. The morning after the gala, Maya returned to work at the Sunshine Cafe as if nothing had changed. She tied her apron with practiced movements and plastered on a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You're back early," Doris commented, eyeing her with concern. "Thought you'd be celebrating your big success until late." "The flowers were a hit," Maya said, focusing on filling salt shakers. "But it wasn't my scene." Doris waited for more details, but when none came, she patted Maya's shoulder. "Well, we missed you around here. The new girl can't remember who takes cream and who doesn't." "I'll take table 4, Maya said, grateful for the normal routine. For 3 days, Maya threw herself into work, volunteering for extra shifts and staying late to clean. She ignored the calls and texts from Beckett that flooded her phone. Each night she erased them without reading, though her finger hovered over the screen each time, tempted to see what he had to say. On the 4th day, a delivery truck pulled up outside the cafe, and the driver struggled in with the largest arrangement of flowers Maya had ever seen. "Delivery for Maya Clark," he announced, setting the massive display on the counter. Every customer in the cafe turned to stare. The arrangement was spectacular. A lush garden of rare blooms in vibrant colors, many of which Maya knew were difficult to source this time of year. "There's a card," the delivery man said, handing her a sealed envelope. Maya opened it with trembling fingers. "I don't know what you heard, but it wasn't the truth. Please give me a chance to explain. There are 2 sides to every story. Beckett." "Well?" Doris prompted, peering over her shoulder. "Are you going to call him?" Maya tucked the card into her pocket. "I need to work." But the flowers kept coming. Every day for a week, a new arrangement arrived, each more stunning than the last. Each came with a note, pleading for a chance to talk. "He seems determined," Doris observed after the 5th delivery. "Maybe you should hear him out." Maya shook her head. "I'm not interested in being another conquest. I heard his friends talking about me at the gala. I'm just the latest in a line of small-town girls he toys with before moving on." "And you believe gossip over what you know about him?" Doris challenged. "I don't know him," Maya insisted. "That's the problem. I thought I did, but there was a woman there, Vanessa, and the way they looked at each other. There's history there." "Everyone has history, honey," Doris said gently. "It's what they do with it that matters." On the 8th day, instead of flowers, a man in a business suit entered the cafe and approached Maya. "Miss Clark, I'm James, Mr. Shaw's assistant. He asked me to deliver this personally." He handed her a thick envelope. "He said you wouldn't answer his calls, but he hoped you might read this." Inside was a letter, handwritten on expensive stationery. "Maya, I understand why you left. The things you overheard were cruel lies spread by people who enjoy gossip more than truth. Yes, there have been women in my past. Yes, Vanessa is one of them. But none of them were like you. You're not a mistake or an accident. Meeting you was the best thing that's happened to me in years. Please call me, or come to the farm this Saturday. I'll be there all day and I have something I want to show you. I miss our talks. I miss your smile. I miss the way you make me feel like myself again. Yours, Beckett." At the bottom was an address, not to his corporate headquarters, but to a farm about 30 miles outside of town. Maya folded the letter and returned to work. But the words stayed with her all day. Part of her wanted to believe him. The other part was afraid to hope. Meanwhile, across town at his corporate office, Beckett was facing a different kind of crisis. His brother Alexander sat across from him, a smug expression on his face. "The board meeting is tomorrow," Alexander reminded him. "Vanessa's father and the other investors are prepared to vote with me on the restructuring plan." Beckett leaned, back in his chair, studying his older brother. "Why are you doing this, Alex? We built this company together." "No, you built it," Alexander corrected him. "I just watched from the sidelines while you took Dad's modest success and turned it into an empire. Always the golden boy, always Dad's favorite." "That's not true," Beckett protested. "Dad was proud of both of us." "Save it," Alexander snapped. "Tomorrow the board will vote to split the company. You can keep your precious sustainable farming initiative, but the chemical division and international operations will be under my control." "And Vanessa. What's her role in all this?" Alexander smiled coldly. "She was engaged to you once. Did you think she wouldn't be bitter when you broke it off? She's been very helpful in convincing her father to back my plan." Beckett shook his head. "I ended our engagement 3 years ago because I caught her cheating with you." "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" "Ancient history," Alexander waved dismissively. "The point is, you're about to lose control of half your company, unless—" "Unless what?" Beckett asked, though he suspected he knew what was coming. "Unless you marry Vanessa like you were supposed to. Her father will withdraw his support for the split if you two reconcile. She's willing to forgive your indiscretions." Beckett laughed without humor. "You can't be serious." "Completely serious," Alexander assured him. "Think about it, brother. What's more important, your company or some waitress you've known for a month?" After Alexander left, Beckett sat in his office, staring out the window at the city skyline. His phone rang and he answered quickly, hoping it might be Maya. "Mr. Shaw?" His assistant's voice came through instead. "I delivered the letter as you asked." "Did she say anything?" Beckett asked, trying not to sound too eager. "No, sir. She read it and put it in her pocket." Beckett sighed. "Thank you, James." He hung up and turned back to the window. For the first time in his career, Beckett was facing a choice between his company and his heart. The Sustainable Farming Initiative wasn't just a business venture. It was his passion, his way of honoring his grandfather's legacy. Thousands of farmers depended on the program for their livelihoods, but Maya made him feel alive in a way no business success ever had. Saturday morning dawned clear and bright. Maya sat at her kitchen table staring at Beckett's letter. She'd read it so many times she had memorized every word. Today was the day he'd asked her to come to the farm. "This is stupid," she told herself. "He's probably not even there." But she found herself changing clothes 3 times, finally settling on a simple sundress and sandals. Before she could change her mind, she grabbed her car keys and headed out. The drive to the farm took her through rolling countryside, far from the city where Beckett's corporate headquarters stood. When she turned onto the gravel road indicated in his directions, Maya was surprised to find a modest farmhouse instead of the mansion she'd expected. She parked beside an old pickup truck and sat in her car, suddenly nervous. What if this was a mistake? What if he wasn't alone? The front door of the farmhouse opened and Beckett stepped out onto the porch. He was dressed in jeans and a simple button-down shirt, a far cry from his usual suits. When he spotted her car, his face lit up with a smile that made Maya's heart skip. Gathering her courage, she stepped out of the car. "You came," Beckett said, walking toward her. "I wasn't sure you would." "I wasn't sure either," Maya admitted. They stood facing each other, an awkward silence stretching between them. "Would you like to come inside?" Beckett offered. "Or I could show you around the farm first." The farm, Maya decided. She wasn't ready to be alone with him indoors just yet. Beckett nodded, seeming to understand. "This way." As they walked, he explained, "This was my grandfather's original farm, where it all started. My family still owns it, but we don't farm it commercially anymore. This is where I come when I need to remember what matters." He led her past the house to a sprawling garden filled with vegetables, herbs, and flowers, all growing together in organized chaos. "You garden?" Maya asked, surprised. "When I can get away from the office," Beckett nodded. "It's the only place I feel like myself sometimes." They walked through rows of tomatoes, peppers, and beans. At the far end of the garden, a section was dedicated entirely to flowers. Dahlias, zinnias, sunflowers, and more bloomed in cheerful profusion. "I planted these after I met you," Beckett admitted. "You made me see flowers differently." Maya couldn't help but smile. This was a side of Beckett she'd never imagined. Muddy boots and calloused hands, tending plants with obvious care. "Why did you ask me to come here?" she finally asked. Beckett stopped walking and turned to face her. "Because I wanted you to see the real me, not the CEO, not the rich guy, just me, the farmer's grandson who still loves the soil more than the boardroom." "Who's Vanessa?" Maya asked directly. Beckett sighed. "She's my ex-fiancée. We were engaged 3 years ago, an arrangement more about business than love. Her father is a major investor in my company. I broke it off when I discovered she was having an affair with my brother." "Your brother?" Maya gasped. "Alexander. He's always resented me for inheriting the CEO position from our father. Now he's allied with Vanessa and her father to try to take control of half the company." Is that what she was going to announce at the gala? Beckett nodded. "They're forcing a board vote. Unless I agree to reconcile with Vanessa, I'll lose control of a significant portion of the company. Thousands of farmers who depend on our sustainable programs could be affected." Maya absorbed this information, trying to make sense of it all. "Those women at the gala, they said you have a pattern of charming small-town girls and then leaving them. Those women are Vanessa's friends, Beckett explained. They'll say anything to cause trouble. Yes, I've dated before. Yes, some of those women weren't from wealthy backgrounds. But I never toyed with anyone's feelings, Maya. And I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. He stepped closer, his eyes intense. The first day we met, when you spilled coffee all over me, it was like waking up. You looked at me like I was just a normal guy who'd been in your way. Do you know how refreshing that was? Maya remembered. That day, how embarrassed she'd been, how surprised by his reaction. I ruined your expensive suit. And I didn't care, Beckett smiled. Because for once, someone was seeing me, not my bank account. He took her hand, and this time, Maya didn't. Pull away. I'm not asking you to solve my business problems or to fit into my corporate world. I'm just asking for a chance to see where this could go. Maya felt tears threatening. I'm scared, Beckett. Your life is so different from mine. Is it? He asked, gesturing around them. Or do we both just want simple things underneath? It all. Good work. A place that feels like home, someone to share it with. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet pouch. I have something for you. From the pouch, he produced a delicate silver necklace with a small pendant shaped like a wildflower. Not a diamond or anything flashy, he explained. Just something to remind you that beauty grows in unexpected places. Maya touched the pendant gently. It's lovely. May I? Beckett asked, holding up the necklace. Maya turned, lifting her hair as Beckett fastened the clasp around her neck. His fingers lingered on her skin, sending warmth through her body. When she turned back, he was looking at her with such tenderness that her doubts began to melt away. I can't promise it will be easy, Beckett said softly. There are complications in my life right now. But I can promise that what I feel for you is real. More real than anything in my life has felt in years. Maya believed him. Despite everything, despite the differences in their worlds, despite the rumors and complications, she believed in what she saw in his eyes. I don't need easy, she said, finally. I just need honest. Then let me be honest, Beckett replied, taking both her hands in his. I'm falling in love with you, Maya Clark, and I'm terrified you're going to walk away again. Maya's heart pounded. No one had ever looked at her the way Beckett was looking at her now, like she was precious and important and exactly where she belonged. I won't walk away, she promised, not without talking to you first. Relief flooded Beckett's face. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close as if afraid she might disappear. Maya relaxed against him, feeling for the first time that perhaps their worlds weren't so incompatible. After all, as the sun began to set over the farm, they sat on the porch swing talking about everything and nothing. His board meeting, her flower shop dreams, their childhoods, their hopes. When darkness fell, Beckett built a fire in the old stone pit, in the yard, and they roasted marshmallows like teenagers. Stay for dinner? Beckett asked. I make a decent pasta. It's pretty much the only thing I can cook. Maya laughed. The billionaire CEO cooks his own pasta? Only for special people. Beckett winked. Otherwise I'd starve out here. Inside the farmhouse, Maya was surprised by how cozy and unpretentious it was. Family photos lined the walls, and the furniture was comfortable rather than stylish. Beckett moved around the kitchen with casual ease, boiling water for pasta and heating a simple tomato sauce. Can I help? Maya offered. You can make the salad, Beckett suggested, pointing to vegetables from the garden that he'd already washed. They worked side by side in comfortable silence, occasionally bumping hips or shoulders in the small kitchen. It felt domestic and right, as if they'd been doing this for years. Over dinner, Beckett brought up the topic Maya knew they couldn't avoid forever. The board meeting is Monday, he said. I need to decide what I'm going to do. What are your options? Maya asked. I can fight. Try to convince enough board members to vote with me. I can compromise, let Alexander have some control, but retain the sustainable division. Or I can give in to their demand that I reconcile with Vanessa. Maya set down her fork. Is that a real option for you? Beckett reached across the table and took her hand. No, not anymore, maybe not ever, really. Even before I met you, the thought of marrying someone I don't love, someone who betrayed me just for business, was unthinkable. Now it's impossible. What will you do? Fight, Beckett said firmly. My grandfather built this company with integrity. My father expanded it the same way. I won't let it become something they wouldn't recognize. Maya squeezed his hand. Then I'll support you whatever happens. After dinner, they sat on the porch swing again, watching stars appear in the clear night sky. Maya rested her head on Beckett's shoulder, feeling a peace she hadn't expected when she'd driven out that morning. I should get home, she said reluctantly. I have the early shift tomorrow. I'll drive you, Beckett offered. You can pick up your car tomorrow. But how will you get back? I have a driver, Beckett reminded her with a smile. One of the few perks of my job I actually use. The drive back to town was quiet, both of them lost in thought about the day they'd shared and the challenges that lay ahead. When they reached Maya's apartment building, Beckett walked her to her door. Thank you for coming today, he said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. It meant everything to me. I'm glad I did, Maya admitted. I saw a different side of you. A better side, I hope. Just a more complete one, she smiled. They stood close, neither wanting the evening to end. Finally, Beckett leaned in slowly, giving Maya plenty of time to back away if she wanted. Instead, she closed the distance, meeting his lips with hers. The kiss was gentle at first, then deeper as Beckett's arms encircled her waist. Maya wound her arms around his neck, losing herself in the warmth and rightness of being in his embrace. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. I've wanted to do that since the day you spilled coffee on me, Beckett confessed, his forehead resting against hers. Worth the wait? Maya asked, a teasing smile on her lips. Worth everything, he assured her. They made plans to meet the next day, after Maya's shift. As Beckett walked back to his car, Maya touched the wildflower pendant around her neck. No longer afraid of the feelings blooming in her heart. Neither of them noticed the sleek black car parked across the street, or the woman inside taking photos of their embrace. Got them, Vanessa said into her phone, her voice cold with satisfaction. Time for Plan B. In the darkness, she smiled, already imagining the chaos her next move would create. Because if there was one thing Vanessa Morgan knew how to do, it was destroy happiness she couldn't have for herself. Don't worry, Alexander, she purred into the phone. By Monday's meeting, your brother will have lost far more than just his company. Sunday morning dawned with promise, as Maya hummed while getting ready for work. The silver wildflower pendant caught the light as she fastened it around her neck, bringing a smile to her face. Yesterday with Beckett at the farm had changed everything. Her doubts, her fears, all melted away in the warmth of his honesty. Someone's in a good mood, Doris commented when Maya arrived at the cafe. It's a beautiful day, Maya replied, tying her apron with a flourish. Doris raised an eyebrow knowingly. Nothing to do with all those flowers or that handsome CEO who's been chasing after you, Maya blushed. Maybe a little. Spill it, Doris demanded, hands on her hips. And I don't mean the coffee this time. So Maya told her about the farm, about seeing Beckett in his element, about the truth behind Vanessa and his brother's plans. Sounds like a soap opera, Doris whistled when Maya finished. And you're right in the middle of it. I know it's complicated, Maya admitted, but when I'm with him, it feels simple. Right. Well, honey, if he makes you happy, that's what matters, Doris patted her hand. Just be careful. People with that kind of money and power play by different rules. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Beckett. Thinking of you, can't wait to see you later. Meeting with lawyers all morning to prepare for tomorrow. She smiled, typing back, Good luck, I'll be here when you're done. The morning rush kept Maya busy, but she couldn't help checking the clock, counting down the hours until her shift ended and she could see Beckett again. They'd planned to pick up her car from his farm and then have dinner in town. Around noon, the cafe door opened and Maya looked up expectantly, thinking Beckett might have surprised her by coming early. Instead, a woman in a sleek pantsuit walked in, scanning the room until her eyes locked on Maya. Maya Clark, the woman asked, approaching the counter. Yes, Maya replied, instantly wary of the stranger's professional demeanor. I'm Erica Wells from the Daily Tribune. She offered a business card. I was hoping I could ask you a few questions about your relationship with Beckett Shaw. Maya froze. Excuse me? It's for a profile piece, Erica explained smoothly. A reclusive CEO and the small-town waitress. Readers love a good romance. I'm sorry, but I'm working, Maya said firmly. And my personal life isn't for public consumption. Erica smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Perhaps you'd prefer to give your side before we run with what we have? My sources tell me you've been seeing Mr. Shaw for several weeks now, just as his engagement to Vanessa Morgan is being rekindled. Maya's heart stuttered. What? You didn't know? Erica's voice dripped with false sympathy. Mr. Shaw and Ms. Morgan were spotted having a private dinner Friday night. Very intimate, according to witnesses. And Ms. Morgan has been telling friends they're reconciling in time for Monday's board meeting. I think you should leave, Maya said, her voice surprisingly steady despite the trembling in her hands. Here's my card. Erica placed it on the counter. In case you change your mind about that interview, deadline's at 5. After the reporter left, Maya escaped to the back room, her mind reeling. Friday night. While she was working late, believing Beckett was preparing for his board meeting, she pulled out her phone, staring at his recent text. Had it all been lies? Was she just a distraction while he negotiated his return to Vanessa? You okay, honey? Doris poked her head in. That woman upset you. She's a reporter, Maya said numbly. She says Beckett and his ex had dinner Friday night, that they're getting back together. Doris snorted. And you believe a stranger over the man who's been moving heaven and earth. To win you back? Reporters make up stories all the time, Maya. But what if it's true, Maya whispered. What if I'm just a fool? Then call him and ask, Doris suggested practically. Don't let some gossip hunter ruin what you found. Maya nodded, taking a deep breath. She would call Beckett, give him a chance to explain. But as she reached for her phone, another text came through. It wasn't from Beckett, it was from an unknown number. When she opened it, her blood ran cold. There was a photo of Beckett and Vanessa, sitting at a candlelit table in an upscale restaurant. He was leaning toward her, their hands touching across the table. The timestamp showed Friday, 9:24 p.m. Another text followed. He's just using you to make her jealous. It worked. They're reconciling for the good of the company. Ask him yourself. Maya felt physically ill. The photo seemed undeniable, proof that Beckett had been lying all along. Had yesterday, at the farm, been an act? Had he been playing both sides, keeping his options open? She finished her shift in a daze, ignoring 3 more texts from Beckett asking if they were still on for dinner. When she finally walked out of the cafe, she was surprised to find him waiting by his car. Maya, he said, his face lighting up, at the sight of her. I tried texting, but I was busy, she cut him off coldly. Beckett's smile faded. What's wrong? Nothing, Maya said, adjusting the strap of her purse. I'm just tired. I don't think dinner is a good idea tonight. Something's happened, Beckett persisted, stepping closer. Tell me what's wrong. Maya pulled out her phone and showed him the photo. Friday night with Vanessa. Were you going to tell me about your reconciliation, or just string me along until after the board meeting? Beckett stared at the photo, his expression shifting from confusion to anger. Where did you get this? Does it matter? Maya challenged. Is it real? Yes, I had dinner with Vanessa Friday night, Beckett admitted, but it's not what it looks like. It looks like an intimate dinner with your ex-fiancé, Maya said, fighting back tears, while telling me you were preparing for your board meeting. I was, Beckett insisted. Vanessa requested the meeting. She said she wanted to discuss a compromise before Monday. I thought I could reason with her, appeal to whatever decency she has left. And holding her hand was part of that strategy? Maya asked bitterly. I wasn't. Beckett looked at the photo again, realization dawning. This is manipulated. We were at that restaurant, yes, but I never held her hand. She tried to reach for mine and I pulled away. Convenient explanation, Maya said, stepping back when he tried to touch her arm. It's the truth, Beckett insisted. Maya, after everything we shared yesterday, how can you believe I would do this? I don't know what to believe anymore, Maya admitted, her voice breaking. A reporter came to the cafe today. She said you and Vanessa are reconciling in time for the board meeting. That's exactly what they want, Beckett said urgently. Can't you see they're trying to drive a wedge between us? Alexander and Vanessa will do anything to get what they want. Maya wanted to believe him. The sincerity in his eyes, the pain in his voice, it all seemed so real. but the photo in her hand felt like irrefutable evidence. "I need time to think," she said finally. "I can't do this right now." "Maya, please." Beckett reached for her again. "Let me explain everything. Come with me to the farm." No interruptions, no reporters, no manipulated photos. She hesitated. Part of her wanted to run away, protect herself from more pain, but a stronger part remembered yesterday. The truth she'd seen in his eyes, the connection they'd shared. 1 hour, she conceded. To explain. The drive to the farm was tense, both of them silent with their own thoughts. Maya stared out the window, trying to make sense of everything. Beckett gripped the steering wheel too tightly, occasionally glancing at her with worry in his eyes. When they arrived, Maya was surprised to see another car in the driveway, a sleek, black Mercedes she didn't recognize. "Are you expecting someone?" she asked. Beckett frowned. "No." As they approached the house, the front door opened, and Vanessa stepped out onto the porch, dressed casually in jeans and a silk blouse. She smiled when she saw them, looking completely at home. "There you are, darling," she called to Beckett. "I was wondering what kept you." Maya felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. She turned to Beckett, searching his face for signs of betrayal. What she saw instead was fury. "What are you doing here, Vanessa?" he demanded, his voice cold as ice. "Waiting for you, of course," Vanessa replied smoothly. "We have details to finalize before tomorrow." She turned her attention to Maya, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "You must be the waitress. I'm Vanessa Morgan, Beckett's fiancée." Maya didn't take the offered hand. "Ex-fiancée," she corrected quietly. "For now," Vanessa smiled. "But business necessities change things, don't they, Beckett?" "Get off my property," Beckett said, stepping between them. "Now." Vanessa's smile hardened. "Don't be dramatic. We both know how this ends. The board meets tomorrow, and you need my father's votes. Your little farm girl distraction has served its purpose. You've made me jealous, proven your point. Now, it's time to be practical." "The only thing practical I'm considering right now is a restraining order," Beckett replied. "How did you even get in here?" "You still keep the spare key in the flower pot," Vanessa shrugged. "Some things never change." Maya had heard enough. She turned and started walking back toward the car. "Maya, wait!" Beckett called after her. "Let her go," Vanessa said loudly. "You've had your fun playing farmer with the help. Time to come back." "To reality." Maya kept walking, even as she heard Beckett arguing fiercely with Vanessa behind her. She reached the car just as he caught up to her. "Maya, please," he begged. "This is exactly what they want. They're trying to drive you away from me." "It's working," Maya said, tears streaming down her face now. "I can't do this, Beckett. I can't compete with her world or be part of these games." "It's not a game to me," Beckett insisted, taking her hands in his. "I'm not reconciling with Vanessa. I'd rather lose the company than lose you." "You don't mean that," Maya said. "That company is your life, your family legacy." "It was," Beckett agreed, "until a waitress spilled coffee all over me and made me remember who I really am." From the porch, Vanessa called out, "The prenup papers are inside, Beckett. Daddy's lawyers. Drew them up yesterday, all ready for your signature." Maya pulled her hands away from Beckett's. "Take me home, please." The defeat in his eyes nearly broke her heart, but she steeled herself against it. This was his world, full of manipulations, power plays, and stakes too high for someone like her. The drive back to town was even more silent than before. When they reached her apartment, Maya got out quickly. "I'll get my car another time," she said, not meeting his eyes. "Maya," Beckett's voice stopped her. "Tomorrow, after the board meeting, I'll come to the cafe. Whatever happens with the company, my feelings for you won't change." She nodded once, not trusting herself to speak, and hurried inside. That night, Maya barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Vanessa's triumphant smile, heard her confident voice claiming Beckett as her own. The rational part of her knew Beckett's explanation could be true, that this was all a manipulation by Vanessa and Alexander to drive them apart before the board meeting. But the scared part of her, the part that remembered being told she wasn't, snuffed by the last man she'd loved, couldn't help but wonder if Beckett would choose his company in the end. Could anyone really walk away from billions of dollars and a family legacy for a waitress with a flower shop dream? Monday morning arrived with grey skies and a steady drizzle that matched Maya's mood. She went to work mechanically, pouring coffee and taking orders with none of her usual warmth. "He'll be here," Doris assured her around noon, watching Maya. "Check the door for the 100th time." "The board meeting was supposed to end at 11, Maya said, trying to sound indifferent. "It's fine. He made his choice." At 1 o'clock, the cafe door opened and Maya looked up hopefully, but it was only the mail carrier shaking rain from his hat. At 2 o'clock, a sleek town car pulled up outside and Maya's heart leapt. But it was just a businessman stopping for a late lunch. By 4, Maya had given up hope. She moved through her tasks mechanically, telling herself it was better this way, cleaner, less painful in the long run. Just before 5, as she was clearing a table by the window, a movement outside caught her eye. A man was walking up the street in the rain, no umbrella, no coat. His expensive suit was soaked through, his hair plastered to his forehead. Beckett. Maya froze, watching, as he approached the cafe. When he reached the door, he paused, looking through the glass until he found her. The raw emotion on his face made her breath catch. The bell jingled as he entered, water dripping onto the floor. The few remaining customers stared as he walked directly to Maya, stopping just short of touching her. "You're soaked," she said stupidly, her heart pounding. "I walked from the office," he explained. "Needed to clear my head." "That's 10 miles, Maya said, shocked. "Worth every step," Beckett replied, a small smile breaking through his serious expression. "The board meeting," Maya began, unable to ask the question directly. "It's over," Beckett confirmed. "We took a vote." "And?" Maya held her breath. "And I lost," he said simply. "Alexander and Vanessa's father carried the majority. They're splitting the company. He gets the chemical division and international operations. I keep the sustainable farming initiative and domestic distribution." "I'm sorry," Maya whispered, knowing how much it must hurt to lose half of what he'd built. "Don't be." Beckett surprised her by taking her hands. "For the first time in years, I feel free. But your company is still mine," Beckett finished. "The part that matters most to me anyway. The part my grandfather would be proud of." Maya searched his face. "You're really okay with this?" "I'm better than okay," Beckett assured her. "I realized something today, sitting in that boardroom watching Alexander and Vanessa celebrate their victory. They can have the money, the power games, the corporate politics. I don't want that life anymore." "What do you want?" Maya asked, hardly daring to hope. "This," Beckett said, gesturing around the cafe. "A simple life, honest work. Someone to share it with who sees me for who I really am." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn leather pouch, not a velvet jewelry box, but something far more personal. "These were my grandmother's," he explained, opening the pouch to reveal a pair of simple gold wedding bands. "She and my grandfather were married for 60 years. They farmed that land together, raised a family, built something that lasted. That's the legacy I care about now." Maya's heart thundered in her chest as Beckett dropped to one knee right there on the cafe floor, water still dripping from his clothes. "Maya Clark," he said, his voice steady and sure. "I know this is fast. I know we have so much to learn about each other, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life. I love you. I want to build something real with you, not mansions or corporations, but a life, a family, a home." He held out one of the simple gold bands. "Will you marry me?" The cafe had gone completely silent. Even Doris was frozen behind the counter, coffee pot suspended in mid-air. Maya looked down at Beckett. This man who had walked 10 miles in the rain to propose to her with his grandmother's ring after losing half his company. This man who had seen something special in her from the moment she'd spilled coffee all over his $1,000 suit. "Yes," she said, her voice breaking on a laugh as tears spilled down her cheeks. "Yes, I'll marry you." Beckett slipped the ring onto her finger. It was slightly too big, but Maya didn't care. He stood and pulled her into his arms, kissing her as the cafe erupted in applause and cheers. "I love you," Maya whispered against his lips. "But you're getting my uniform all wet." Beckett laughed, the sound joyous and free. "Small price to pay for the most beautiful accident of my life." 6 months later, On a perfect autumn day, Maya and Beckett were married in the garden of the farmhouse. She carried wildflowers she had grown herself, and they exchanged vows under an arch of roses and ivy that Maya had designed. The guest list was small, just close friends and family, with Doris proudly seated in the front row. Maya's flower shop was under construction in town, funded not by Beckett's money, but by a small business loan he had helped her secure. She had insisted on building it herself, with her own credit and reputation. "It's your day off," Beckett had reminded her that morning, finding her adjusting flowers around the garden. "The florist isn't supposed to work at her own wedding." "These aren't work," Maya had replied, tweaking a bloom. "These are love." As they danced their first dance as husband and wife, Beckett held her close. "Any regrets?" he murmured in her. Sharmasya thought about the path that had led them here. From a coffee spill to this moment, she thought about the corporate world he had partially left behind to focus on the sustainable farming he loved. She thought about the small apartment above her soon-to-open flower shop where they lived while renovating the farmhouse. "Not a single." "One," she answered truthfully, "though I am sorry about ruining that suit." Beckett laughed, spinning her under the twinkling lights strung across the garden. "Best $1,000 I ever lost." On a hill overlooking the celebration, a sleek car was parked in the shadows. Inside, Vanessa watched the happy couple with bitter eyes. "They look disgustingly happy," she said to the man beside her. "For now," Alexander replied, studying the financial reports on his tablet. "But the market's shifting. Beckett's sustainable division is outperforming our chemical operations 3-1. The board is asking questions. So we find a way to stop him," Vanessa shrugged. "We always do." "Not this time," Alexander said, surprising her. "I'm done fighting my brother. Maybe it's time I learned from him instead." "What are you saying?" Vanessa demanded. Alexander shut off his tablet and started the car. "I'm saying congratulations to the happy couple. And goodbye to you, Vanessa. Some games aren't worth playing anymore." As he drove away, leaving Vanessa sputtering in outrage on the roadside, Alexander felt a weight lift from his shoulders. Tomorrow, he would call Beckett, apologize, see if there was anything left to salvage between them. Back at the reception, blissfully unaware of the drama on the hillside, Maya and Beckett swayed to the music, surrounded by friends and flowers, and the promise of a future built on honesty, simplicity, and love. "You know," Maya said, looking up at her husband. "For a coffee spill, this turned out pretty well." Beckett smiled, pressing his forehead to hers. "The best accidents are the ones that change everything." And as the stars came out above the farm, that had been in his family for generations, Beckett knew that the legacy he was building now, with Maya by his side, was worth more than all the corporations in the world. It had taken a coffee spill to show him what really mattered, and he wouldn't change a single drop. The end.